flowing through our veins. Sitting in the bleachers in the rain. We've shed a million tears and drank as many old style beers out at the game. Let's go Cubbies, Ranto
with Michael,
Ranto
and Crawly,
Ranto and the lovable losers. Ranto
with Michael,
Ranto
and Crawly,
Ranto and the lovable losers. Ranto. We are the champions of the week.
No,
and we won 4 of 6 games against the stupid Diamondbacks and Padres. Bum, bum, bum. I mean, you guys, welcome to the Ranto Show. I'm Danny Rocket. I'm sitting here in Twitter jail. And boy, is the food terrible. And we're here with Cubes fanatic Michael Cotton. Crawly Cubs is in the Cubs cave. And boy, I had no idea that the Cubs had a West Coast road trip going 4-2 in them, but they did this week. So
especially here we're going in there, and all these teams in the West are above the entire division above 500 because they're just beating the crap out of everybody, and they're not playing each other yet. And then the Cubs are terrible. They're like 10 games under, just no hope going in there. Yeah. And yet they come out 4-2.
That's baseball. As always, this show is brought to you by our 112 Patreon supporters. Thanks for being a patron of the Ranto Show. We do this show for you, and it is produced by you. If you would like to win a Frank Chance postcard sent to you by me, hashtag Chance in the chat, and you could win. So do that now. Chip Paleo in the chat says, okay, you guys can thank me for luck as I just got back from the game. 70% Cubs fans, 30% D-Bags fans. Yeah, we always show up out there. I mean, there's so many snowbirds that end up living out in Arizona. We've got a lot of friends. I know Crawly that we've been visiting over the years. Jason Peters was on camera last night. Who's a
JP, the man behind the pizza and the tent. He was on there with his son. They call it Wrigley West for a reason. There are a lot of transplants out there. You go out now. I was talking to one of my Uber drivers this last spring training, and he's like 3/4 of like the Arizona colleges. They come from Chicago, and then when they graduate, they stay. They don't come back. They're like, fuck this. This is awesome out here. And so like they're having a good time. And you got Lou Malinotti's out there right now. You got Portillo's out there right now. You got Cubs year round. What else do you need?
Well, I think probably 3/4 of the entire Cubs team have homes in Arizona. So then, they bring their families and all that shit too. So
plus you got the Arizona Fall League out there. And there's a lot of baseball that takes place. But let's get right into this series. Game 1 is the one that the Cubs lost of this series. They lost 4-3. This game was on Apple TV, and just like right off the bat, I don't know, were you able to watch this one? It was a little confusing for a lot of people because they had to sign up for Apple TV, get themselves a subscription, which was free to do, except for people still had trouble. And
right, as long as you gave them all your personal information so that they could sell it to Elon Musk, then you were fine.
Believe it was the ghost of Steve Jobs that got the information. Yes. But were you able to download it?
I watched it. I have Apple TV. I watched it. Yeah.
I watched it through the internet. And sorry for anybody who's looking. I have a few different things that I do, and the first one did not work at all because even the Pirates don't have Apple TV.
That's the thing.
But I found it on a different one.
Whole different situation, and and we'll talk about this some other time. I don't want to talk about it tonight, but like the idea that Peacock's got some games now, Apple TV's got some games, Marquee's going to be trying to do a standalone because the RSNs are moving that direction. But that's a conversation for a day. But I want to know how you felt about the call of the game, which had Cliff Floyd on it from ex-Cub Cliff Floyd, which was he kept being wrong about everything.
I thought that the 4K was just absolutely stunning. The picture was phenomenal. I thought the stat bugs were pretty cool. Some of them were kind of weird though. Like there were some weird ones. I'm trying to remember what it was.
Those stat bugs, it was kind of neat to have it down there. I will admit, until it was the whole game, and you're seeing shit like Menez, the rookie Cubs pitcher who's never seen a single guy, and then they're throwing stats percentages of what's going to happen. It's like. This dude's never, ever pitched before. How the hell can you have any numbers on him?
Like, I like stats, but give me something that seems more realistic. I'm trying to remember what the weird stat was. I'm looking it up because I tweeted out, and I think that everyone was pretty much of the same opinion. Not everybody, but a good majority of the people that I talked to about it. Picture looked great. Stat bugs were fine, but the broadcasters were just awful. I mean, I didn't like them at all.
I didn't hate the broadcasters only because they weren't noticeable. They weren't noticeable in being good. They weren't noticeable in being bad. I barely fucking noticed them other than just kind of the call. It wasn't, there just wasn't much going on. So I was actually fine.
It was a non-thing. I totally agree with you. I felt like I was watching, like it was like Saturday morning and I happened to have like a college baseball game on ESPN3. And there just were random announcers that I didn't care about. I had no skin in the game. Like there was like nothing to it in the broadcast.
So here's what I'm talking about with the stat bug. I'm looking at the tweet that I put out there. It was a 0-1 count with 2 outs on Frank Schwindel. And they said Frank Schwindel reach base probability 33%. And I'm just trying like, where the hell are they getting this reach base probability? If he's hitting 202, isn't that the probability that he's going
right?
Like a 20% probability?
Count, though, he does slightly better.
So the one that really got me that I tweeted out about was Jason Hayward is up there with the guy on first, and it says 17% chance of ground into double play, and Hayward immediately grounds into the double play. And I tweeted out there, I'm like, the stat bug's saying 17%, but every Cubs fan knows that it's 75% chance he's grounding into that double play.
Well, and I don't want to like totally like spoil like talking about Rick Sutcliffe and Pat Hughes being on the broadcast all the rest of the weekend. But what cracked me up is like they've got all the guys talking about the exit velocity, but what won the game for the Cubs today was a tiny little bloop single that was like 43 miles per hour off the bat. And I was like tweeting out like, so what was the exit velocity on that one? You guys talk about exit velocity on every hard hit ball that ends up and out in a glove. You want to tell me what the exit velocity is because the expected batting average is 5,000. But instead, it's baseball, guys. Sometimes exit velocity does not matter at all. Hit them where they ain't. And
game 1, VR bunted for a hit in this game, which I loved. I was like, holy shit, he actually, which, by the way, it's because I don't know that VR could have gotten a regular hit. That was kind of the only way he was going to do it.
Well, let's get into this game because we lost it. And so I don't want to spend too much time on it, but we lost to Zach Davies, and that's what really hurts you. We said it before. He's having a good year. We said it on the last show. And we're like, damn it. Then why does this always happen to us?
They mentioned, I did hear them mention something about him, and he's having a good season and things are better. He had a rough year last year on and off the field. What happened to him last year off the field? Like I didn't
remember anything.
He sucked. I didn't remember anything either.
Off the field too. I don't.
He sucked, and Cub fans turned on him. I believe is what happened to him. I mean, but that was brutal. Also expected. Like I tweeted out right before the game, like, "Well, here comes the Zach Davies no hitter," and it wasn't exactly that. But we only scored in the 1 inning. You get the Jay Hay double, which actually surprised the hell out of everybody, and then VR bunts for the hit. And then you get Ildemaro Vargas with the triples those guys.
Yeah, because that's exactly how they drew it up. Hayward, VR, Vargas. Let's win the game.
Arizona right fielder made a really bad dive on that and let it get past him.
Oh my God.
It was bad.
He was not like, he was almost not on the TV screen. He was so far away from that ball.
Yeah.
And then you also had a sacked fly. Was it Ortega?
Yeah, you had the sack fly right after that, and then
So
and
you're
then
feeling good. You're up 3-0. You got Zach
yeah,
Davies on the rope. You're feeling confident, and
yeah.
all of a sudden,
Marte comes in, hits a second double of the game. Then and Vargas, Ildemaro Vargas, he hits the triple, immediately just gives the runs back by his shoddy defense. It's just unplayable at this point. Today, it was unplayable. He really
VR.
booted the game away. Yeah, VR. Well, VR's like, it's funny because they had in the condensed game, they had the Diamondbacks announcers talking about Jonathan VR knocking the ball down and Ildemaro Vargas knocking the ball down. They're like, it was amazing. He just got to that ball. I'm like, not really. Like, he got leather on it. And there's like, we said it with the last series, the one game that you lost against the Padres, it was like they were just balls going slightly off of gloves. You'd get a little bit of leather, and they're like, well, at least they knocked it down. They kept it in the infield. I'm like, what are you talking about? 2 runs scored. Like, it's not good. Like, don't.
Right.
Why are we, Eve Sutcliffe is screaming about it. It's just like, you could have swept both these series except for the defense.
Yeah, the defense again, it'll bite you, and this team's not good enough to play. I mean, that's part of the problem is they're not good enough, but just you can't get far if you're going to keep giving the other team extra outs. And Arizona's been a surprising team this year, and frustrating, like I said, with Davies not getting more after you had him on the ropes, giving the runs right back. I mean, it was a frustrating loss. I wasn't really happy with it. He had an opportunity in the 8th inning, bases loaded. Rivas flew out, but we'll talk later. Some guys came off the injured list and are on the team, but for me, I don't want to see Ildemaro Vargas anymore. Thank you for the triple that you were gifted by the right fielder from Arizona, and I'm fine with that being over. And again, if VR wants to do some DHing, fine with that. I just don't want to see a glove on his hand.
Those announcers were talking for the save, Melanson. They were talking about his struggles and how he's coming in and, he's working on something. They're like, oh, he's fixed after he went through that. Guess what? He's not fixed. On Sunday, he was full broke.
And I think on Friday, after the 3rd inning, I think they only had 2 hits the rest of the game. They only had 5 hits total, but like 3 of those came in the 3rd inning. Yeah. And I think it was Ortega who had, or no, not Ortega. It was Schwindel who may have had the other 2 hits.
Yeah, they disappeared the rest of the game, and it was actually most of the bottom of the order. If you look at it, I got the box score up here. Schwindel with 2 hits as the DH. Then Hayward had a hit. VR and Vargas, as we said, they were responsible for all the scoring as well. And so the top of the order didn't do jack. Patrick Wisdom had a good game today, but he struck out 3 times in this one. Cubs didn't have a lot of opportunities. 5 hits, 4 walks. So only struck out 7 times, but they left pretty much everybody on. So the pitching, though, we got to talk about Smiley. Not great. 10 hits he gives up in 6 innings pitched. Only the 1 walk, 4 Ks, but man, they were just kind of they were slicing them up a little bit out there. There was a lot of traffic on the base paths, and he's kind of lucky it was only 4 runs scored on him, but at least he went 6 innings, so I'll give that to him. And Davies, 5.2 innings pitched, 6 strikeouts. So only 5 hits. Davies only gave up 4 of them. So,
maybe you can fill me in on how they're doing the defensive lineups, right? Because Suzuki doesn't play in this game. So why is Hayward still over in center field if Suzuki's not playing? Like, doesn't it make sense to move him into right? Maybe Happ is in center and put
Ortega in center,
or Ortega in center, but like
center.
Yeah, Happ in center, Ortega in left, like whatever. But Jason Hayward is a great right fielder, and you don't put him over there, and that was part of the issue. Like
the ball went over Ortega's head like that, and almost the same play that Hayward made today. But wait, in right. Was that
no? Suzuki made that play, right?
Yeah. Suzuki made that play, but yeah, I just don't understand why. If Suzuki's not going to play, why do you leave Hayward in center field? That doesn't make any sense.
Was it last night that Hayward made some great play? where he reached up and got a ball. That wasn't the Suzuki play.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
but that happened
last night.
Yeah, I think it was last night. So let's talk about last night. The Cubs win that one. It was Dr. Hendo and not Mr. Kyle against Zach Gallen, who really was quite good against the Cubs. This was a pitcher's duel until the very end. Crawly, I saw you. I was waiting for it. I was looking at the Ted Barrett, the umpire, really was a factor in this one. I think
oh my God.
Around. You look at his numbers up here, 91% overall accuracy. The overall consistency was 91%, so he wasn't consistent or accurate. It favored Arizona slightly, and Kyle Hendricks was getting a lot of calls. So was Zach Gallen. The called strike accuracy was even worse, 82% only. 12 of 67 called strikes were actually balls, but he was good at calling balls.
I actually don't really mind if there are two really good pitchers out there, kind of creating their own strike zone. You know what I mean? So that strike being down, but the problem is that the consistency wasn't there. You know what I mean? Like if they worked to a certain point and both of these pitchers were great and they were throwing it where they wanted it and getting those calls, fine. I'm all good with that. But you can't have 1 out of every 10 pitches. Who knows what the call is going to be? Like that's where you run into like some of this, I don't know, some of the nonsense with the umps. It drives me insane.
Right. And, the one thing I did like about the game, and I know this has kind of been something on Cubs Twitter that's been crazy. Like some people love Sutcliffe and Hughes. I would be in the love department. Other people didn't like it as much. I love Sutcliffe, man. I like a guy that loves the team and cheers with passion and has a little bit of homerism as opposed to some guy that could give a shit about the Cubs.
Okay, so when it's Sutcliffe and the Booger, the Green Goblin, the Bat in the Cave, I'm tired. I do not like that. That's fucking annoying because he's not, I don't know, they don't work that well together. But him and Hughes, that's a nice pair. Like I do actually like that. Like, and Pat Hughes, I think is, obviously he's made a career out of trying to call a game with some, homer in there, doing whatever. So he's great at that. And I'm with you, Crawly. I actually really did like Sutcliffe paired with Pat Hughes. I just don't like, and honestly, I thought I hated Sutcliffe before that, but it's really just the way that him and Boog work together that I don't like.
I will say this much. I feel like he's in like at every time Sutcliffe says something like, he's like, well, let me tell you how I feel about that. And I'm always like, uh-oh, here it comes.
Here it comes. Canceled.
Here's how he's going to case.
You got your finger on the cancel button. Yeah.
Here comes his Mark Grace moment. Here comes his Bob Bradley, and I just feel like it's going to happen. But that's also very exciting television, where you always feel, because Sutcliffe, I mean, he brought up Trevor Bauer, which is a bit of a third rail thing. He brought that up on the broadcast. He also brought up the Aroldis Chapman trade today, which I was like, we're kind of trying to pretend that never really happened. And we're, like if we could just not talk about that, that'd be cool. But
I would just say though that I think maybe it could partially be the fact that it's very for some of us it's very similar to listening to Harry Carey call a game back in the day, where it's where he's just having fun with the game and telling stories, and it's like listening to your drunk uncle at the ball game. That's all I.
And he's watching the game. He's actually watching and enjoying
He's not telling stories about shit that you don't understand why he's telling the story. He's fucking watching the game and then explaining things through stories that he's seeing. No, and that's why I say I liked him with Pat Hughes, because Ron Santo and Pat Hughes is my gold standard of a game. I could go back and probably just listen to a whole game they did, even though it's, from 10 years ago. Like, just because I just enjoyed that. I really liked it. And that's what I'm saying. I think Pat brings out sort of he's able to ground the game in such a way that when Sutcliffe is telling his stories or talking about things, it doesn't seem like it's ever going to go off the rails. He's not going to say something and then somebody else is going to say something, and pretty soon you're you're talking about the Mars rover or some shit,
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
Eric
this game
writes
did
in-
have a little bit of deja vu to start off when you had Vargas botching one and the Diamondbacks go up 1-0.
Oh yeah,
But
it was all Vargas is bad. Like as much, and every time he makes even a good play, that's fine, but it doesn't make up for all the mistakes the routine grounder that he just cannot handle. It just eats him up. The balls that sure, he knocked one down, keeps it in the infield. I don't care, 2 runs scored to the play or whatever it would be. It's not good enough. I totally agree. Now, what do you think about Kyle Hendricks? He worked again with Yan Gomes. This is the Yan Gomes game, first of all. He comes out, he hits a home run. Finally, he ties it up.
The first home run off of Gallen all season.
Yeah. So, that was 32 innings, by the way, it took for him to get that. Wisdom, still more strikeouts, by the way, in this one. But what do you think of Kyle Hendricks' performance? A lot of fly balls. I felt like they were kind of squared him up, but I don't know.
you got a dead ball and you got a big ballpark. I mean, here's the thing is that I knew after Kyle's last start in San Diego, like if you listen to the post game and stuff like that, he must have mentioned Gomes 1,000 times. He totally saw him campaigning to have Gomes be his every personal catcher.
And he did it again after this game because he said early in the game he didn't have his fastball. It wasn't where he wanted it. And Gomes just kept talking to him and telling him to get on top of it, get the angle that he needed. And Kyle was like, and by the third or fourth inning, I got back to it and it was working. And he's like, that normally doesn't happen for me, but he really made a point of saying Gomes was in my ear talking to me about how to get there. And he never went away from that fastball. He just kept forcing him to fucking throw it.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Hendricks goes 5.2. He didn't have the strikeout stuff that he did last time, but he got 2.
Oh, David Ross loves bringing in Efros to get one out, doesn't he?
Well, I mean, if you need the out and you needed it right there, and so you got it. Daniel Norris came in and actually pitched pretty well. He struck out the side plus an extra guy, so he ends up striking out everybody he faced. It's the best, definitely his best out in the year. Givens goes 0.2, gives up a hit. And then Wick came in and made it pretty interesting. He did end up striking out the side in the end of everything, but he gives up a walk, a run, 2 hits. So it wasn't a great outing for Wick at that point. But Gomes also making it the Gomes game by with the bases loaded, singling in Wilson, I believe. And then
Wilson scores.
Yeah. And then there was a walk.
Yeah.
Bases loaded walk.
Yeah. What walked in
walks and Hayward grounds out.
Which is funny because Ortega is up there, and I'm wondering, and Rivas didn't have a great game the day before, so maybe that's why they go lefty Ortega instead of lefty Rivas. But I'm thinking you need the base hit here. Why is it Ortega? And I'm like, what is he up there to walk? And that's exactly what he was, because that's Ortega's whole OBP game is just walk. So he did a great job of it, and it worked out great. I was going to say walked out great. It walked out great. And Jay Hay, which is hilarious. The 4-3 that he hits into all the time, occasionally will turn into an RBI and not count as an at-bat.
Broke it didn't have enough momentum to get to the fielder.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He that bat got sawed off right in his hand.
And the Cubs overall, they struck out 13 times. This was a pitcher's duel. Cubs out hit 8-4, but they won 4-2. The 2 errors were super costly in this game. You almost booted this one away, but you didn't do it. And the pitching really held up, as I mentioned before, except for in the end, it made it way too interesting. And that's got to be, and Crawly, I saw you tweeted this out too about Ted Barrett. It's got to be tough with him behind the plate the whole time, because all this year, he's been one of the worst umps based upon accuracy in 2022 so far this year. So overall accuracy on the year for Ted Barrett was 91.79. So I don't know if I'm looking at a well-pitched game or Ted Barrett just being a massive factor in the fact that nobody can hit, or both. Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got good pitchers and a bad ump. That's a bad combination for the hitters. You know what I mean?
Oh, right.
It truly is.
It's one of those things where you're like, look, neither of these guys really need any extra help. You're going to give them another couple inches. Just forget about it. It drives you nuts when you see that. Like I said, I think there were bad calls on both sides. And that's why you didn't see either team really score many runs.
Right. Yeah. And that's, because like you say, those guys will just live on that extra 2 inches.
Oh, yeah.
And the batters are looking at it going, that's outside or it's inside, wherever it is. It's not a strike. And they just keep getting it called.
And in today's game, Sutcliffe liked what he saw so much. He's thinking that we take our stocked minor league and start trading them away and add it to the team. Because if you look up and down this lineup, you just add to something like this. You got your leadoff hitter with a 670 OPS and Ortega. You got Gomes at a 620, Hayward 552 OPS. This is what you add to, and you will be a world beater, the champions of the world. Cubs win today. You get the leadoff homer from Ortega. It's 1-0. Then it's 2-0 as P. Wizzy hits one out. Now it's 2-0. Then Vargas's defense makes it 2-2. And
just a little fact on Ortega, because they brought it up a lot. You know, it was his birthday today. He's the second Cub to ever hit a home run on his birthday, a leadoff home run on his birthday.
The other guy I never even heard of.
Walton.
Who was it?
I missed the actual home run. I watched it later. Was that the very first pitch or was it the second pitch?
I think it was the second pitch. I don't remember.
The second pitch,
but it was fun to watch, and Sutcliffe told a good story about Wisdom. How he was just frustrated even last night and had his head down. And Sutcliffe's walking through the clubhouse and he says, "Hey, you guys won. Get your head up. Tomorrow's another day. You're gonna go get him." And then he hits a home run. So good to see for Wisdom and Ortega. Vargas's defense almost cost him again, but then at the end, Wisdom had a double that I thought off the bat was a home run. I mean, it's just shocking how many balls I've seen this year that you thought that's gone, and all of a sudden it doesn't. And so, he gets that double, and then Frank the Tank, who we've talked about some of his struggles this year, and he actually was not even on the road trip to begin with, ends up with an RBI single that wins the game for him. Little blooper.
Yeah, I think. So Schwindel kind of, if you just look at the numbers, I don't think he had the greatest road trip, but
he went 2 for 4 in the game, and
he had a good road trip.
And he almost won that game at the end of that San Diego with a go ahead grand slam. It would have been, it didn't get out, but no, he hit the ball hard, and he went 2 for 4 today. And it's funny because the only reason he's on the team is because of COVID, and I guess I mean, and I don't know what their plan is with him now.
Let's talk about that for a second, just because think about this. You're going on a West Coast trip, which the Cubs always suck on West Coast trips. You have bizarre, weird-ass injuries, and you have COVID. So you lost David Robertson. You lost Marcus Stroman on the trip. You don't have you got Suzuki was injured for most of the trip.
Yeah, the first game he jammed his leg, right?
Right, and so he has half a start until today. And then you had Nico that you lost. And then you were facing, a good San Diego team, a Diamondback team that had some, just some of the most phenomenal starting pitching. And you came out of here 4-2. I mean, I think that's kind of what got all jacked up. It's like, it was a really a good road trip to have, and they needed it in the worst possible way. I looked at this stretch of teams that we were facing, whether it was the Brewers or the White Sox. Oh, I mean, you take a look at some of the pitchers they had to face. I mean, that would have been tough even with the 2018 Cubs. That was a hell of a good stretch of pitching that they had to face.
Yeah, if only they hadn't gone 0-5 at home before they were,
I believe it was 0. Oh yeah, it was 0-5. Yeah,
it was 0-5 at home before they left and went 4-2. Like if they could have just split that, or
again, look at the names that they had to pay. Again, sometimes that's just the way it works. The schedule works. Nothing you can do. But when you talk about having to face Kershaw, and you talk about having to face Giolito, and you talk about Fried, and you talk about some of these guys, that they had to face. I mean, it was a Gallon is another one on yesterday. I mean, it was a really, really tough stretch of games. And the record reflects it. It wasn't a great, and I knew it. And so I'm just glad it ended the way it is. You have an opportunity, and we'll talk about it in the next segment about the Pirates coming up, and then you see these D-backs again. But 6 games,
Well, I tell you, it's kind of a surprising, and we're into the middle of May, and the season started late and stuff. But the Cubs won the first 2 games of the season on a Thursday and a Saturday. They have only won 2 home games since then, and are now 4-11 at home, and 8-9 on the road.
Wow.
So, something to watch. Like, hey, maybe quit with the cup snakes and focus on the game a little bit.
Yeah,
more.
maybe right. Maybe cheer on your team a little bit. But
Yeah, exactly.
you know, and
maybe we should do the wave like they did today in Arizona.
God, yeah.
I just said
So
that to see Crawly's face. So let's take a quick commercial break, and we're going to come back. We'll talk about some of the injuries and Andrelton Simmons, who came back today. And so we're getting some guys back. Reinforcements are coming, I guess. But anyway, take a quick break. Stick with us. We'll be right back. All over Chicagoland, there are thirsty, frazzled, overworked Cubs podcasters who are struggling to survive one more baseball season in the dog-eat-dog world of unpaid content creation. But it doesn't have to be this way. You can make a difference. Become a super ranter at patreon.com/sunranto, where your support ensures that poor, sad, pathetic, ugly, loser Cubs podcasters can pay for tickets and beer, and in turn line the pockets of the baseball oligarch Ricketts family. Just $1 a month can buy a scorecard. $5 a month can pay for guitar strings to write a Cubs song. And $10 a month almost buys 1 beer at Wrigley Field. Cubs content creators are the lowest pieces of pond scum garbage that slither over the face of this planet. But super ranters help them get drunk and screw off at baseball games. What do you get out of it? The Sun Ranto Show delivered to your podcatcher without stupid advertisements like the one you're seeing and hearing right now. Plus, at other Super Ranter levels, you can get Cubs music, access to private Sun Ranto pages, the Ranter calendar, and special thanks and Ranter recognition in our live broadcasts, plus eligibility for monthly prizes. What does Sun Ranto get out of it? Your money. For tickets and beer. Go to patreon.com/sunranto. That's patreon.com/sunranto. And become a super ranter today. All right, here's some injury updates for you. This from Jordan Bastion at ML Bastion. Justin Steele, this is before he did start today. And we didn't even mention Justin Steele and his 10 strikeouts.
A great performance. And let me say this about Justin Steele is that, got a little bit rocky, got a little bit dicey when he had that leadoff walk, came around and scored. And they showed the statistics of once he goes, how usually they don't let pitchers face the order a third time through. They were saying how Steele was getting hit hard the second time through, and it looked like the same thing happened today, but he was able to kind of give you a little bit more length out of the start today. Yeah,
and there's not been a whole lot of qualities. That was, I think I heard today, like the 4th or 5th quality start that the Cubs have even had this year. So, and Justin Steele, who we were kind of worried about as his performances from his first performance, he did quite well against the Brewers, kind of started going downhill and slipping. But this was great. 10 strikeouts, which I heard they hadn't done in 2 years, they said on the broadcast today. He did great. But anyway, he's back, and that was after he had left with a thumb issue in his last start. But Nico Horner, he actually went to the IL. It was tweeted out that he had started light baseball activities, and now I think he's on the IL. Did you see that as well?
Yeah, because they called Simmons out, so it was a corresponding move.
Move. Andrelton Simmons is back, and Roberts, he started a throwing program. Newcomb, who I kind of forgot was on the team, he's has a ankle issue and has resumed throwing as well. But Andrelton Simmons has come back, and I don't know if it's the best of reinforcements. Maybe we'll see some better plays at shortstop. I really hope so. But he's in AAA Iowa, 2 for 24, 2 walks, 7 Ks, for a .083 average, 154 OBP, .083 slugging, for a 237 OPS in 6 games. and that's what $4 million is getting you. But maybe the defense will be better than Ildemaro Vargas.
It's a small sample size. I mean, obviously Simmons' offense hasn't been great the last couple of seasons, so it's not like a new thing. But again, you see what bad defense gets you. You know what? I don't give a shit if, I don't want to say if he doesn't get a hit, but you can't just keep having these innings. This pitching staff doesn't have what it takes to keep surviving that. It's just unreal.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
you got to get people that can field the ball, especially at shortstop. You can get away with putting somebody in left field and hiding them or something like that, but you can't have butchers at the shortstop. It just can't happen.
Yeah, and you can thank that trip to Illinois for Horner as the reason that we're still keeping some of these guys on the team. That's why they did it. It's like they just had an opportunity, I think, to send him to Illinois, which makes them not have to make a decision about somebody else. And he gets a little bit of a break and to work back, but it didn't.
And don't forget it's retroactive to when the injury happened.
Yeah. Well, and
right. So it's going to be like what, 6 days?
Something like that,
yeah. And also Nick Madrigal is still on the IL as well. Plus, and I guess we're probably hoping that Marcus Stroman is going to come back and maybe pitch on Tuesday if he can test negative and feels okay from having COVID. Facebook user, who I'm not sure who this is, says Glass Nico. And I don't know. I mean, that's tough with this one because if you remember, the umpire was crappily positioned.
Yeah, the fat ass umpire right up behind him.
Yeah, so Nico hit him, and Eric Campbell said Horner running into the ump. What the fuck was that? I agree. Like, what was that? That's a kind of a freak injury. Nico's had trouble staying on the field last couple of years for various reasons. So I mean, it's something to watch, but I guess it depends how you come back from an injury. Like, is he going to come back and be hitting like he was, which was pretty well. He's hitting a lot of doubles, hitting for average, hitting for power. He looks big and strong, making good plays. I was enjoying his jump throws.
You saw the difference too in the defense. His defense was greatly improved this year. And so, I mean, I don't think he's a glass, but I do think that he does have, he doesn't do you any good if he's not on the field.
Right. And I wish he hadn't been banged up because, with Madrigal in Illinois as well, you could have put Simmons in there at short and moved him over to second, which, hey, he's a lot better at short than he has been for sure. Well, but he's still not as good at short as he was at second. And it would be nice to have him at his best position.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens, what they do when everybody's healthy. And Nick G writes in, here's a question. When Bodie is healthy, is VR DFA'd? I mean, someone's got it. You can't have them all. And VR has been a decent bat, but also a butcher in the fields and booted a few games away. I think you got to tighten that stuff up. I don't see, and he'll probably pick up with somebody else. But if you're,
I mean, we got to see with Bodie. It's been a long time since he's played baseball. Yeah. So I don't know if it's going to be something that's going to be worth worrying about too much right now. I mean, we'll see what happens. Obviously,
he's going to have an extended rehab in Iowa, probably. Don't you think?
Yeah, he is. So,
I mean, they could, with the surgery, all that stuff, they could literally just almost leave him down there for months still,
And a little more injury news, although this isn't for the big league club, but Ed Howard took a spill. I don't know if you watched that play, but
his hip injury, right?
Hip injury. So that's tough because that's going to stunt his development. And I know he's a big part of the like the concept of the Cubs' future. So you hope he figures that out.
Sucks because it's a serious injury. He kind of struggled last year at Myrtle Beach, but there's a lot of questions if he was going to play again in Myrtle Beach. And they said, "Hey, we trust you. You got this." They put him up in South Bend. They gave him a promotion, and it was paying off. He was looking really good. Things were looking good. It just, it's a bad throw, I think, from the shortstop to the first baseman, and the first baseman it collides with him. And next thing it's heartbreaking too, because, we all have seen Ed Howard grow up and watch his progress. And it just is and he was so excited too. We talked to him when we were out in South Bend. I talked to him. I talked to his dad for a little bit, and everyone was excited about the fact that so much of the family, it was just a real quick drive to go see him, as opposed to being in Myrtle Beach. And it was just, everything seemed like it was coming together, and it just breaks my heart that this happened to this kid, because he really is such a nice guy.
Yeah. And now there's no word, I think, yet about how long he'll be out, but it seems like it's going to be a while.
It's not a short stint. We'll put it that way. I don't know.
Yeah, so it's a very sad state of affairs, very sad situation. But the Tennessee Smokies, though, combined for a no-hitter, and I know we don't really consider these as actual no-hitters, but I didn't even know these guys. Peyton Remy, Danis Correa, and Eury Ramos.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys aren't really on anybody's top prospects list, are they?
No.
All I want to know is who is catching for him, because we're going to need catchers soon.
But the main, and the other thing to kind of take a look at is the depth, the amount of depth. And you don't hear about some of these guys because of all the other guys you're hearing about, but it's good to have depth. And what you hope with is that, out of these three guys, maybe one makes it to the show. But you hope that you can get someone that just flies under the radar, that comes out of nowhere, that looks, really good. And maybe all of a sudden, one day Peyton Remy's starting at Wrigley, and we're like, hey, remember, that's the guy that did this. And maybe he's somebody that really puts something together. So,
well, if you think about Max Bain, like, he wasn't necessarily on people's radar till a little bit after that, right? And so until very recently, in fact, and now he just got moved up a level and did quite well. I forget where he's pitching in Tennessee now, I think.
He's at Tennessee, yes.
Yeah, so he got moved up.
There's been a lot of movement going on, and if you've been watching the Cubs minor leagues, they have really, all the teams are just doing phenomenal. They are really, South Bend, Tennessee, Iowa, all of them.
Robert Sanchez writes it and goes, don't knock combined no-hitters. Reds threw one and lost. Yeah, that did happen today against the team we're facing next is the Pirates. The Pirates beat the Reds 1-0. And the Reds had 8 innings of no-hit ball. So technically it wasn't a no-hitter because they were the visiting team. So they didn't get to even try to throw a 9th. But so we're going to do something that we're going to look at from time to time, which is Michael Cotton's DH-o-meter. So let me play the drop real quick because it's stupid.
Fuck it up. Fuck it up. Shit.
For the podcast, for the podcast listeners, that is the sound of a coconut blowing up. So
all right.
I don't know. Just stupid. I enjoy it.
Okay, so yeah, we're gonna check in on this, and I look at the league DH as well as the league 9 spot versus the Cubs DH and the Cubs 9 spot as well. So the DH stat line right now is 228, 308, 379 for a 686 OPS. So I don't know. DH is that's the league average. Yes.
So the DH is kind of like a defensive first catcher, basically, is what you're telling me.
Right. Yeah. And so the DH's BABIP is 275 right now. That is the lowest of any position except for catcher. Yeah. So the catchers are worse BABIP, and then it's the DH. So they're not seeing much. Now, that being said, in the 3 true outcomes, they are first in home runs with 125, first in walks, and first in strikeouts as well. So, I mean, they are doing the 3 true outcomes with the DH. And I guess that is sort of the point of it, which that's kind of the most boring parts of baseball, sort of. But I don't know. But going against that is the 9-hole hitter, right? Because it's my theory that the 9-hole hitter is only on the team because you have a DH, right? So this guy would normally not be there. They are hitting 223, 293, 336 for a 629 OPS, which 228 is the batting average for a DH, and 223 is the 9-hole hitter. That's pretty rough.
I'm going to put both of these stats in the chat so that everybody can visualize them.
And And then the BABIP for the 9-hole hitter is 290, and that's second only to the number 2-hole hitter. And but they are last in home runs with 69.
Nice.
They are last in walks, but they are fourth in strikeouts. But that's also partially because they get the least amount of at bats as well.
Still better than a pitcher.
Yep, it is. It is still better than a pitcher, but it's more about the whole that the DH was going to change the whole landscape of baseball and all this shit. It really doesn't make that huge a difference.
Well, how do the Cubs stack up against?
Yeah, let's see how the Cubs are stacking up. So the Cubs DH this year is a 212, 301, 348 for a 649 OPS, which is those are all well below the league average. So they're one of the teams driving that DH average down. Their BABIP is 271, and the 3 true outcomes is tough, like to understand how that works. But they have 2 home runs this year. They have 14 walks, and they have 31 strikeouts for an OPS plus of 90. So they're 10 points below the average DH. And the Cubs 9-hole hitter is hitting 243. So like a full 31 points higher than the DH.
Are 9-hole hitters hitting better than a DH?
Yeah, 270.
Yeah.
Yeah, 277 OBP or on base and 327 slugging. So 604 OPS. So they're still like lower, but that feels like, oh my God, they must have so many less home runs. Remember what I said? 2 home runs for the DH. The 9-hole hitter has 1, 4 walks, 24 strikeouts.
I think, when you talk about
OPS plus of 92.
When you look at the Cubs DH system, with DH, we've talked about this. For some reason, Ross keeps wanting to put Gomes in the DH. I mean, Gomes doesn't hit home runs. He did today.
Sorry, he did yesterday against Allen.
Yeah, but he's just not a home run.
But he wasn't DH in that day either.
Right. What I'm just saying is, just in general, we've always questioned what we have a DH for if Ross is not putting guys. And then he has put Schwindel, who had, hit home runs, what they were hoping he'd hit more, and he hasn't. When you talk about the DH in the 9 spot, I kind of think a lot about, I always liked when Ross would kind of put, like, say, either Madrigal or Horner batting first, and then the other flip them and hit them 9th. You get what I'm saying?
So you have like 2 leadoff hitters in a row right in front of your quote unquote sluggers. And a lot of times they would bat Wilson second. So if you can get those, so you get on
2, 3. Yeah. You get a 3-hole guy sort of there. No, and I'm with you. Like the way that they're using it, I don't know, is you don't really know because sometimes there's guys that just aren't doing anything. I mean, Hermosillo has been there and Ortega has been there a few times, and you're just like, why are these guys hitting DH? But it goes back to the whole like thing. Everybody's like, oh, this is going to create jobs, and there's going to be new. Nope, nobody uses it like that. There's not a DH on the Cubs. There isn't, and it's just random. Who can we get up there and stuff? And then listening to the game today, I'm hearing Coomdog talk about how hard it is to be a DH because you don't get into the game and you can't do this. I'm like, wait a second, are we arguing against the DH now? Like we've had it for a fucking month, and now like the announcers who have been like, oh, let's get the DH in there. Everybody wants a DH, and then a month in, they're like, DH is pretty hard. This is really position.
Not a fan. So
I still do prefer the pitcher in there, and I know people think I'm crazy for that, but you know what? On the defensive side, I would much rather see that pitcher in the 9-hole than our 9-hole who's hitting 243.
Well, luckily, if we do have to talk about the DH more this year, Corey Furlong made us a cotton freak out-o-meter based upon your Kyle Hendricks rant from last show when you went off about him getting pulled. and it's the Cotton Freakout-O-Meter. Carlos Zambrano is the lowest level, if that tells you where it goes from there. then you go Larry Boa, Don Zimmer, Lou Piniella, up to Lee Elia Rant. So that was when you really get into the deep dark red. So
okay, so
Boy, I'm just kinda
okay,
shocked.
where was I on that? Where was I on the Hendricks thing?
I think you were at about a Piniella. You might have been Elia because you really did waste like 20 minutes of the show bitching about the same thing, like over and over and over.
Well,
again.
the only reason it took that long is because I was shocked that everybody in the chat was like chiming in and absolutely against me. I was actually blown away by that, and then it was just an argument with those guys.
I'll tell you what I wanted to happen so bad. Like, even though I'm a huge Cubs fan, like I wanted Kyle Hendricks like to get knocked out after the second inning, just like in this
Just
last
so you
start,
could say,
just fucking come on this show and be like, see, Cotton, 116 pitches, that's too much. Kyle was spent, now he's garbage, and it's all
Nope,
your fault.
all I heard for the Kyle Hendricks start was Kyle Hendricks is so durable. He can just pitch all he wants. He's he's never heard like he's got a great delivery, all this stuff. All I heard for that game that he pitched 5.2 was how durable he was, which, the game before he wasn't durable enough to go one more out.
He wasn't. No, he was spent. So, and also people were in that chat saying that stuff to you because they want you to freak out because they're entertained by it.
Probably.
So is what happened. You were getting trolled hard on your own show. So that's what happened to you. So anyway, we're going to take another quick commercial break. This one is for sunranto.com/shopping. If you have anything to buy, including tickets for this week's series when the Cubs come back to Wrigley Field, you can buy it all through sunranto.com/StubHub and our shopping links. It's how we keep the lights on in the podcast in addition to your Patreon support. So we'll be right back. If you're like most Americans, you buy shit. Lots of shit. Sometimes you buy shit for other people. Sometimes you buy shit for yourself. And sometimes you buy shit you have to buy just to stay alive. So why not buy shit through the Sunranto affiliate? Links at sunranto.com/shopping. We've got tons of shit you can buy. Go to sunranto.com, click on the shopping link, then click our ads and buy shit. We've got Amazon. They've got tons of shit. But you can also buy MLB shit, NBA shit, NFL shit, Fans Ed shit, Southwest Airlines shit, Fanatic shit, Reebok shit, Wine of the Month shit, Beer of the Month shit, Bear Mattress shit, StubHub shit, Lid shit, Sports Memorabilia shit, Volcanica coffee shit, Vibrator shit, Condom shit, Bag shit, NHL shit, and Audible membership shit. There's a whole lot of shit that can help the Sunranto show stay on the air so we can keep talking shit. So buy shit today through sunranto.com/shopping. Thanks. Cubs Jesus thinks you're the shit. Well, we have a chance to improve our home record against two what we thought were bad teams that it doesn't seem like they are quite as bad because the Cubs are actually in fourth place behind the third place Pirates right now, who managed to win a game while getting no hit today. So they're coming off a little bit of luck. And the Cubs are 2-4 versus the Pirates this year, despite beating them 21-0 on April 23rd for one of the largest margins of victory in a shutout ever for the Chicago Cubs. They lost the first two games to Cincinnati, though, at home. And then they won Saturday, and today, well, they got no hit. They won again. We got to talk for a second. I was texting with Billy DeVore about Hunter Green, who was pitching for the Reds. This dude throws 100, and he wasn't doing that towards the end of the game as he was I think it was like 118 pitches before they finally took him out. He had walked two guys in a row. He was obviously spent. He was up there throwing breaking balls, trying to get through the game, really is what it was, to get the no-hitter. Couldn't quite do it. But man, this guy's a stud for Cincinnati, and I don't know if you turn that game on at all.
Terrible name though. His parents need to be slapped for naming him Hunter Green. Come on, that's just fucked up. They got the 64 pack of Crayola, and they're like, this is a perfect name for our son.
At least his name isn't Burnt Orange. Could be worse. So I looked up the comparative offensive stats, and this probably won't surprise you guys, but I looked up the comparative offensive stats between the Cubs and the Pirates, and they are literally right next to each other, back to back. Either one's ahead of each other by one or two teams, or one's behind the other by one or two teams, all either average or below average in every single offensive stat that you could think of. The teams are just a few ticks apart. So that's a little disheartening, I know, for Cubs fans to think about, that we have an equal offense to the Pirates. In fact, they're slightly better across the board, but just it's so slight it doesn't even matter. But the Cubs, where it matters, is scoring runs, right? Probably because of that 21-run onslaught, have scored 9 more runs overall than the Pirates this year. So, and then pitching wise, the Cubs are actually a lot better. The team's Cubs team ERA is a half a run better than the Pirates, and the Pirates actually have the 4th worst bullpen ERA. Their bullpen is terrible, and the Cubs ERA is bullpen ERA is 3.39, which is no slouch right now, and it's the 9th in the majors. Plus, both bullpens give up a lot of too many homers, in my opinion. Both top 10 in a bad way, and the difference is they walk a lot of guys and then give up a homer. The Cubs aren't doing that. They're average. The Cubs still have the most strikeouts out of their bullpen, and it's not necessarily because we're taking a whole lot of innings. We're only 9th most in innings pitched, whereas the Pirates, they don't really have a starting pitching staff, and their bullpen has taken the 2nd most innings pitched in the majors right now.
I'm actually surprised about that. The Cubs are the 9th most in innings pitched, because I really have felt like the bullpen has had to take quite a few innings this year, but I mean,
they have. Now it's top 3rd.
Yeah, but I mean, still, it's just you
would think it would be top 5.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be right up there. I mean, there's the Pirates, and there's maybe the Rays that, that's their plan to do that.
I can tell you right now who it is. Chicago Cubs actually dropped to 10th. Ahead of us are the Detroit Tigers. I believe they're in last place. The Nationals in last place. Boston Red Sox and Orioles, I think, fighting for last place. Texas Rangers stink. The Twins, they're taking a lot, although they're playing pretty well. Last I looked, and maybe not now, but
they're in first place in their division.
Okay, yeah, so their bullpen's keeping them in, and they're taking a lot of innings. And then you got the Reds, the Pirates, and the Rays, who always do it. So they have 2 teams that are doing it well, and everybody else is terrible, and that's why they're doing it, including us. We round off that top 10. So we're all just kind of in that mix, and we're not but we're number 1 in strikeouts, and that is something.
And again, you saw Steele able to go a little bit longer today. You're still waiting for, Wade Miley and Drew Smiley, the Miley Smiley team, to start kind of. Obviously, Wade didn't have much of a spring training, so I mean, he's definitely not on his game yet. But you're hoping he gets to go longer. Smiley, I don't think we've seen the best of him yet.
Yeah, well, we'll see him.
And Stroman was just warming up before he ended up. He was just getting hot when he was put on the COVID list.
Yeah, well, we'll see them both, and I got a few numbers for them in a second. But defensively, the Pirates, we got to take advantage of this. So you talk about running maybe wild on the bases. Maybe you can do that here. Force this defense to make plays, because they have the most errors in the MLB. If you think we're butchers out there, even with Brian Hayes, man in third base, they're not good. They don't have anything resembling a shortstop on this team. Neither did we for a second.
Yeah, this is going to be the battle of the most errors versus the most toot glands in the league.
Because the Cubs, they have the 6th worst defensive efficiency ratio, or as we call it, on this show, at 685, which is the incredibly dropping defensive efficiency ratio, because we're getting worse. Still better than the White Sox, by the way, and Tony La Russa and the Butchers over there. But Pirates are just slightly below league average, so their dirt is slightly better than ours, even though they lead the league in errors. Both teams' catchers are slightly below average in throwing runners out, so we might just see a lot of action on the base pads. It's supposed to be warmer at Wrigley, and here's the weather. right now. This might be the first game Monday night where it'll be pleasant as hell to be at a baseball game. 74 degrees down to 52, just gorgeous tomorrow. And of course, it's Monday and nobody wants to go. And then the weather drops down to 58 for the Tuesday game. 64, it's supposed to, and rainy on Wednesday for that night game. Unfortunately, that's going to be a night game. I don't know why they refuse to do day game getaway days, because it just gets colder and crappier as the day usually wears on. But it's supposed to rain that day. And then going into the weekend, the 4-game series with the Diamondbacks, more rain. So we'll see how that affects everything going forward as far as the pitching staff goes and how they line up things. But Miley has been announced for this first game. So we only saw him the one time. He didn't do great. He walked 5. Crawly, I hope you're right that he's just doing the spring training thing and just getting going.
You have no reason to believe otherwise, right? I mean, the guy has a track record. It's been pretty darn good. And I'm not saying that he's going to be, a stud ace pitcher, but you should be able to count on him to get you 5, 6 innings at least.
Yeah, my biggest concern with him was the fact that he was getting the 2 outs and then falling apart, trying to get that 3rd out, because that makes me think it's more of a mental thing than it is a physical thing. And that can be a little bit harder to fix maybe.
Yeah. For Miley, that was just hey, congratulations. Welcome back. Here are the Dodgers.
True.
Yeah.
It's like when I was sitting there and I was at the game, it was at the Sunday night
Padres,
game?
Right?
Is it the Padres?
Yeah, Padres. Still not
either way, just a really good team that it just wasn't easy to get through. So,
Yeah, that was the one game that they lost in San Diego. And I believe he was kind of the victim of some bad defense as well in that game, too. I wouldn't be surprised. But the Pirates have seen him a whole heck of a lot. And Jake Marisnick's actually on this team. Former Cub, does quite well against him. So does Kevin Newman. Does quite well against him. Vogelback's got a home run. Michael Chavez has got a home run. Roberto Perez has a home run. So they've seen him quite a bit. They're actually batting .347 off Miley collectively over there. And the guys who have seen him at Pittsburgh.
So what you're saying is I should play Key Brian Hayes and beat the streak.
Yeah, who's 4 for 6. Yeah, sees it pretty well. Either him. I think you could pretty much take your pick of a lot of these Pirates. So, yeah, doesn't look good for us as far as at least what's happened. But maybe it'll be a reversion to the mean, and it'll help us out somewhat. The Pirates have not announced their starter yet, but Dylan Peters started a game in L.A. that the Pirates actually won. They beat the Los Angeles Dodgers with something the Cubs didn't manage to do so far. And this was on May 11th. He went 3 innings pitched to Dylan Peters, a Pirates pitcher, and they'll probably bullpen game that out. So I'm guessing game 2, the Cubs don't have an announced starter, and we're hoping could be Keegan Thompson. Maybe they send him out there like they did in that spot start. He did pretty well in his 4 innings pitched against San Diego. Could be Marcus Stroman. I hope it's Marcus Stroman because that gives us a better chance to win coming off the COVID IL. And we're going to be going up against JT Brubaker, who's 0-3 with a 5.34. The Cubs faced him, and they got 2 off of him. In 1 earned. He pitched 3 innings pitched back in April. Cubs lost that game 4-3. But the Cubs are pretty good against him overall. Jonathan Villar's got a home run, although he's on his way to getting DFA'd, but Hap's got good numbers. Contreras has good numbers. So we'll see what we get. So, and then in game 3, we got Drew Smiley. He has been announced, and here's his games on the year right now. 10, as I said, 10 hits against Arizona. That was his longest start of the year. So he gave us 6 innings. Cubs lost this one. And against Dodgers, didn't do great. Drew Smiley, he's your 5th starter. 4th, 5th. We're talking about the end of our bullpen or our end of our rotation here. So whatever he gives us, if he can give us 6 innings and a 4-run ball, that's kind of what you expect out of your fifth starter, I would guess. I'm hoping he's better though, so we could trade him. Just saying. Pirates versus Smiley. Brian Reynolds has 2 home runs. There are a lot of home runs off him. Roberto Perez has 2 home runs. Jake Marisnick has a home run. Michael Chavez has a home run. So, but overall, they're only batting .235 and 81 plate appearances. So then we're going up against Mitch Keller, who last time he went out there versus Cincinnati gave up 5 runs through 4.2 innings. In fact, he's given up 5 runs in his past 2 outings, and is at only 2 good outings on the entire year. One versus Milwaukee and the other versus San Diego. But he's got a 661 earned run average, and he's 0-5. So here's your pick for beat the streak in that game, Ian Happ. 7 for 13 with 2 home runs against Mitch Keller. He loves hitting off him. Hayward's even got a home run off him, although he's only 2 for 12. And then there's just not much to see after that. So Ian Happ on Wednesday, if you can remember that, Crawly. There's your series. So I don't know how you guys feeling about this Pirates team that just won.
Today we're going to talk about taking a rectal temperature. Do we have to take it rectally? Yes.
Yes.
What do you think, Crawly? What's happening?
I'm going with the Cubs sweeping the series.
Ooh.
I think
feeling good. They're coming in hot, huh?
Feeling good. I think the team, that plane ride home after a great 4-2 road trip, you take it, they're happy. I think that the Cubs, like I said, had a really tough stretch. After facing everybody that they faced and now coming back and having to face the Pirates, I just think it's going to be different. The weather is not going to be the 30 degrees that we've been dealing with. I think the one time that was a nice day, Danny was saying our first nice day, the first nice day was a 70-degree day against Pittsburgh when he scored 20 runs. So
yeah, that's true.
Just keep that in mind. I think it's going to be a sweep. I think the Pirates, you have to have a little bit of a horseshoe up your ass if you're going to win a game where you've been no hit. But I think that luck is starting to wear off a little bit. And I think the Pirates are coming down a little bit. And I think the Cubs are going to be going the other direction the next couple series.
I was actually thinking Cubs go 1-2 because they kind of drop off coming home, feeling good about the 4-2, and then, maybe drop the first 2 games because they kind of, let it go a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, oh, we're home and we just did good. And then they kind of don't show up. That's my worry.
Terry says Sutcliffe has Crawly jazzed.
That's why I like Sutcliffe. He gets me fired up.
Yeah, well, exactly. He definitely will do that. Yeah, I'm more on the. I think I'm going to split the difference between you guys, and I'm going to just say the Cubs take 2 or 3, and I have no reason why. It's just because it's baseball, and
right.
Yeah, and why not? I'm looking for a good week. I mean, yeah, the Diamondbacks they got a decent team. They've had good starting pitching, and then they come into town. And I do want to mention that I will try to get a preview episode. Maybe I'll do it day by day for the Patreon people and get that out as a podcast because we're not going to be doing this. I guess I'm going into announcements right now, but we're not going to be doing a Wednesday night show, but we may be doing our Colorcast show, but I will be doing a preview of the Arizona Diamondbacks series at some point for the Patreon subscribers. So if you're not a Patreon subscriber, you should be. I'll give you the matchups. I'll tell you what the Diamondbacks, we just saw them, but we'll tell you we'll dig in on the numbers a little bit better for the Patreon people. So patreon.com/sunranto and be a part of it all. Bleacher Bum Band is playing this Saturday. Michael Cotton's coming to town on Friday. We got Fergie Jenkins is going to be getting his statue, which I was down there by Wrigley. They're putting up all the statues right next to in Gallagher Way. They got a big statue garden going up. Should be it'd be great. I mean, it's about freaking time.
Can I just say something though? Here is that I was really hoping they'd leave Ernie alone. I know, the statue row, blah, 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 but there was something, and maybe it was because I was actually there in front of Ernie. I felt like he wasn't talking to me, but I was like eye to eye contact. And I just remember just him pointing to the statue, talking about it. And it's like, he was so proud that, when you walked up to the marquee, he would be the first thing you'd really kind of see, you know what I mean? And it's not to take away from anything the other guys did. I just liked having Mr. Cub right there, right in front of the marquee. I wish they would have left that alone. You're going to have other statues up there eventually. So, why not just leave Ernie where he is and keep filling in other statues? You have plenty of statues you can put in there.
I agree with you because Ernie Banks, he deserves to be separate from everybody else. Mr. Cub, and I agree. He was like, he kind of welcomed all the fans. It felt like he welcomed you to the ballpark, like he
would have if he was alive.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And now he's just going to be standing in line with all the other guys. And it doesn't have that same kind of special quality. I do agree that was a bit of an oversight on their part. Let's see if I can't.
And this is what we talk about when we talk about like the Cubs organization, just not really kind of having a pulse. You know what I mean? Like if you didn't know anything about the Cubs, put all the statues in a row. It'd be a great idea. But anyone that knew Ernie, like I was there when Pearl Jam did their first show at Wrigley Field, and there was a horrible storm. And all of a sudden, Eddie comes out and sings "Someday We'll Go All the Way" with an acoustic guitar at Wrigley. And then Ernie comes out and he says, "Welcome to my house." You know what I mean? It was like, that was kind of his thing. And it was, I don't know.
Yeah, he should be up there in the front. And like you said, they do have it. I think they're making 5 or 6 pedestals. I actually didn't think to count how many there were. But if you only have Billy, Ronnie, Fergie, Ernie, there's like 2 more pedestals that will be there for, I don't know if they're going to end up moving. Harry.
No, Harry, my understanding
stays.
It's going to be, it'll be Sandberg, and I don't know. I mean, I understand.
Put a big joint in Sandberg's hand.
I know everybody. I know everybody
got his head.
You think about Dawson, and you think about Maddox. And I remember Maddox went in with nobody on his hat. He wanted to make that clear. And then Dawson wanted to go in as a Cub, but his best years were with the Expos, and so they made him wear an Expo hat. He didn't.
And Expos didn't have another Hall of Famer. He's the only one. So I think they wanted the team to be represented by somebody.
But when you think about those 2 guys getting statues, when you talk about Maddox, his best years were clearly with Atlanta. And when you talk about Dawson, his best years were definitely with the Expos. Where when you think about everybody else on that list, you could easily make an argument. Maybe Fergie would be the only one that you'd say.
Sosa.
No, you know who it's going to be. It's going to be Sandberg. And then that last one,
that's
Tom Ricketts.
There you go.
I had
Tom Ricketts.
No, I had that thought because they are so shameless. Like every time that they do anything, they put up a plaque of themselves. Like there's a plaque right in the front for Ricketts. There's a plaque on that wall for Ricketts. And it all is like, the Wrigley Field was burning down and it was being overtaken by Attila the Hun, and the villagers were being, burned by the stake and being put to the sword until Tom Ricketts came and saved everybody and restored Wrigley to its former glory. And I could see him being up there as an executive doing a stupid statue for himself. Oh, God. Well, at least give us something to the face.
So my son was playing Xbox 360 MLB The Show 2013 today, and he's playing with the Cubs, and they're at Wrigley. And I looked at the game, and I saw what Wrigley looked like before the big boards.
Yeah,
way better.
I loved it. Yeah. It really is so much better. And you forget, right? It's been so long and you get used to it or whatever. But when I saw that today, I'm like, oh my God, that was just such a better field. Like
it was more symmetrical. It was, any artist would tell you, any artist looking at it would tell you it just looked better. You know, I don't really even care about concrete falling on your head. It was part of the charm. Bring home a souvenir.
Right.
The red lobster nets on the ceiling to catch them.
Exactly.
That's great.
Yeah, that's why they sold those bleacher bum hard hats.
Yeah, exactly.
I got one somewhere. I should find it.
So, Bleacher Bum Band is playing at Output. The show is free. It's going to be right after the game on Saturday. It's going to be a lot of fun, and you should come. So get yourself a ticket, get yourself a Patrick Wisdom bobblehead, and come on over and watch the Bleacher Bum Band. On Saturday, we're going to be debuting a song about old style. So look for that. And then Marcus Stroman, there can't be too many more tickets left of this one.
Under 30, I know for a fact.
How many?
Under 30.
Under 30 tickets left. This is going on Friday, May 27th, 6 to 10 p.m. out in Lake in the Hills, Illinois. Marcus Stroman will be at Club 400. You get a picture with Marcus Stroman, a swag bag with an autographed Marcus Stroman baseball, free food, free drinks, including alcoholic drinks, live music, including me, auctions, all to benefit 3 great charities. We got Marcus Stroman's charity Height Doesn't Measure Heart, as well as the Lost Boys and Club 400. So please, if you want to come, it's go time. Like, what else do I have to say? And it's a great deal. I mean, what, $200, you get all of that.
Yes, like if you can't drink your beer and food worth and then get a ball and a photo, like I said, you're doing it wrong, man.
Yeah,
and a party,
and
Q&A, music, magicians. I mean, you get to meet so many people. You're going to have Levante is going to be down there with a bunch of kids. I think he has 20. We have a school bus of kids coming. So it's going to be a blast.
Yeah. So come to that. And we're going to be at the Fergie ceremony on Friday. So look for us. We'll also be I know me and Cotton, we got tickets for the game Friday. So is Crawly. You're going to be in the bleachers and we're going to be sitting by where you usually sit. So I don't know. I'll be with my mom. So if you ever want to meet my mom, like, this is your prime example. Of course, if it rains, she won't come and I'll have an extra ticket, at which point, ranters, check your email, because I'll be like, hey, who wants to come to the game? So, as I said, no regular show this Wednesday, but we will have some sort of something coming up. We don't know what, but we'll be definitely back with the regular show a week from today. The following Sunday, it would be the next big time Sun Ranto show, but we will be in contact with the Patreon people, especially before that, and on Colorcast. So they're still sponsors of the show as far as I know. So, flexing cubes.
All right.
You have any flexing cube people?
I do, and it's going to fit in with an ongoing theme for this show. We've talked about it a few times. It's the Reds and Pirates game today. Less chat, more hat says the Pirates beat the Reds, even though they didn't get any hits. And those are the 2 division teams the Cubs are competitive with this year. Yeah, and I just thought that put it
here.
Yeah, hashtag is different here. Yeah, it really puts it into perspective, right? These 2 teams, the team with the no hitter lost the game, and these are the teams that the Cubs are like, well, we're trying to beat one of them.
Frustrated fan, that's the account at Frustrated Fan, cracks me up because there's just a Simpson gif for everything, and he literally, like, the second something happens, it's up. It's like, oh my God, like some obscure, like, he'll remember George W. Bush making a line, or George Bush in the Simpsons episode, and it just anything he has. It's just unreal how fast it comes up, and the guy's memory, how many times he must have watched every Simpsons episode.
Well, I enjoyed this today. Tony Naomi tweeted right after Sutcliffe was talking about adding to the team and trading away some of the young studs we have in the minor leagues for win now, guys. Here, get them up in Chicago. Tony says, I know. I'm like, you want to add to this team? That's like painting the Titanic after it hit the iceberg.
Right.
Crawly, you got anything?
No, I'm empty, man.
I got one more thing, and this was, we haven't seen this guy. We haven't even talked about it, but Clint Frazier had an appendectomy, Been gone since, not even a rehab start. I don't know what their plan is. He on fake IL? I'm not sure what's going on, but I do know that he's hanging out with his girlfriend, buying her a guitar because he went out and she's taking pictures and putting them on Instagram. I don't even know where this is. Certainly doesn't look like Chicago. It could be, I suppose, but she's out there and she says, moody but clothed, and she does look naked outside.
She looks totally naked. It looks like she's wearing nothing but the boots.
Yeah. So she's out there playing guitar, and I was like, what exact chord is she making? And Crawly, you play a little guitar. Can you tell me exactly what chord Casey is playing here? Because first of all,
I'm more impressed she can play with the nails.
Well, I don't think she can. That's my kind of point. Is I'm like, I'm not exactly sure. And somebody goes, that looks like an E minor to me. And I'm like, it looks more like a Q flat sharp to me. I'm not sure what she's doing there. But anyway, just if you ever wonder about people's guitar skills, really zoom in on their fingers because it'll tell you all you need to know.
Sometimes the skills just involve the guitar being a prop.
Yeah. Like Elvis. Elvis, he played a little guitar. But that wasn't what he was up there for.
He was no Scotty Moore.
No, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Precisely. So I got to say, just like Ferguson Jenkins would say.
This is Fergie Jenkins. You're listening to Sean Ranto, the 69th Beth Cup podcast.
Hopefully he does better in his speech on Friday. But hopefully nobody makes him say 69th Beth Cup podcast during his speech. But no, I'm really excited about seeing Fergie. That's going to be awesome. I hope the weather holds off for that, especially for Friday, because that's going to be a very special day for a lot of people that know Fergie and been around him. It's so great that they're doing that while he's still around. So, yeah, well, I guess we'll be back next week. Next Sunday, and for the Patreon people sooner than that. So join us at patreon.com/sunranto, and we're coming back to Wrigley, so that's how we're going out.
All right, let's do it. Spagog!
Spagog! I'm coming back to Wrigley with a ticket in my hands, no ring upon my finger because I am just a fan, and I spent most of my money on sausages and beer, but I was there when they won it that year. A pressured anticipation had the city tightly wrought with a 5-3 combination as the sailing ball was caught. Half a dozen generations who would live to see the day the Cubs would take the season all the way. Now we're coming back to Wrigley. We're coming back to Wrigley, where the ivy will Welcome back to the Son Ranto Show, where we forgot to do Chance for a Chance. Thank you to John Pincus, who told me that happened. So yeah, we're gonna share a screen.
This is like those Marvel movies. It's a post-credit thing.
Well, this weeds out the people that don't really want to win Chance for a Chance. So if you and I did go into the store where I buy these, and I asked them if they could get more of these, and they said no, and they didn't know how to get any more of them because Lantern Press, who put them out in Seattle, no longer has them. So when these are gone, we're gonna have to come up with some other way or make our own Chance postcards. So can you see the screen?
Yes.
Well, why doesn't? All right. Well, I don't even see that there's people have. Wait, did this whole thing get ruined? I mean, do you see how there's no entries?
Before, I know you did it before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see any entries here.
There's lots of
All right,
chances.
we're gonna try this again. All right, we're gonna hashtag Chances. Look at you guys are all looking behind the curtain right now. All right, here we go. It's happening. All right, hashtag Chance. Get in there.
I already took my jersey off, man. I was getting ready for bed, dude.
We're drawing. Here we go. Boo, 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 boo. Nick G, congratulations.
Nick G.
Nick G, please contact me, and so I can find out what your address is, so I can send you your prize. So Nick
And
G,
just a reminder, it's not who's first or who does it the most times. It's completely random. We have no control over who the winner is.
Yep, it's just completely a random drawing, and Nick G won tonight. So congratulations, Nick. And now, what the hell? Let's play him another song. How about Cupstead Guy? Then we'll get.
All right. I'm out of here.
Good night.
Later.
Spagong. Took the train from Barrington to get drunk and have some fun in the bleachers. Fireballs at Cubby Bear with his friends. He doesn't care if he's late. He boos and screams and cheers, and he pounds a dozen beers in the bleachers. But the highlight of his day was when he made a cup snake. They piled it high and piled it higher. Left field sucks came from the choir. They stacked those cups for 27 rows. How beautifully built those cups were, till a mean red-shirted usher said, "Buddy, I think it's time to go." He's the cup snake guy. Chases Jägermeister with a Mai Tai. But the best part of the game was stacking cups up in the ninth. He's a cup snake guy. Well, he came to see the Cubs, but instead he's stacking cups in the bleachers. He was too drunk by the fourth to care about the score of the game. But he's reaching for the sky, heaping cups up super high in the bleachers. Worth $100 he paid to get drunk and make a cup snake. Everything felt so fantastic, holding his pillar of plastic, a monument to Wrigley's drunken fans. Beer and dip spit raining showers from the massive slobber tower. Thank God they gave them cups instead of cans. He's a cup snake guy. Gonna lose his Terrio jersey tonight. And the best part of the game was stacking cups up in the ninth. He's a cup snake. from the suburbs and he's usually white. And the best part